Ready? Play.
In those important moments because I couldn't convert, some break points. But I'm happy that at the end I did, and yeah, it wasn't easy. So it's nice that I played, even a longer match here, so I could adjust, to the surface.
Ego, from our side, we can't tell how much effort Sloan is putting in just because it looks effortless, but it looked like a grueling match out there. I'm wondering, can you give us an idea of what made her tricky or what she's good at?
Well, I think, it looks like it because she's kind of using the opponent's power a little bit. So yeah, I think she played smart. I want, to be more precise maybe in my next matches. Yeah, because I felt like sometimes my shot was going like 50 centimeters to left or right. That's why it was hard to make her run a little bit more. But she played well, so I think that's why it was pretty tight, and I'm happy that I threw anyway.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
I didn't play my tennis tonight, but on the other hand, I was there to win it, so for sure I didn't, live up to my standard as I usually do, so I'm not happy, but on the other hand, like, these 2 weeks were so intense that you just have to look forward, and it doesn't matter now.
His game when the big occasions come up, so he has to be one of the top favorites. I truly believe we had a podcast ourselves yesterday, which I do with Patrick Kuhnen, called Mad Dog and Wingman, and we spoke about that obviously as well, the outlook. And I picked Carlos Alcaraz as the winner this year, just because he won just his first title on grass. I think he is extremely, in a way, extremely able to adapt to situations and to challenges, not just because he has the game, just because he's loving it. You know, he loves it to challenge himself. And I think he has learned a lot of players. When you look back at the French Open semifinals against Novak, his breakdown, his physical and mental breakdown, with a lot of players, you would say like, well, they would struggle with that for the next weeks and months to come. I think with Alcaraz, he has learned a huge lesson from that match, and it will never happen again to him. I think it made him even stronger and a better player. And that's why I really feel like he believes he can Wimbledon, and he wants to prove to the world that that was a one-off and it's not going to happen again. And I think if you would look at it and he would be honest, maybe he would say like, I want to play the final against Novak and I want to prove to the people that's not going to happen again and I'm able to win this. So my pick really is Carlos Alcaraz.
I know we're coming to the end now, Marco, but I have got one more point.
Number 10, Ons Jabeur. Number 9, Caroline Garcia. Number 8, Maria Sakkari. Number 7, Marketa Vondroushova. Number 6, Elina Svitolina. Number 5, Jessica Pegula. Number 4, Coco Gauff. Number 3, Arina Sabalenka. Number 2, Elena Rybakina. And number 1, Iga Swiatek.
Ready? Play.
Can't hear you if you're saying something. But anyway, hello guys. Vansh is also here on the backstage, I see already, as we are entering the English
What's up, guys?
final. Vansh usually enters the stream right when the first point is played. It's like almost every single time. I don't know if he actually, tries to do that or not. But it always happens.
I'm just looking at some dark skies. Marta Kostyuk won the toss and will serve first. Vanch, can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think I was on mute before. Just a random thought seeing that, winning the toss. What does it mean anything? I think I saw Alcaraz winning the toss yesterday and suggesting or asking for Zverev to serve first. Is there anything in that? I mean, is there a coaching thought, Vanch? Would you say something to Kostyuk like, you know what, give it to her, or is there anything in there? Is there anything you can possibly advise?
To be honest, I actually haven't thought about this too much. Like,
No.
I don't really know if there's an advantage to at that level of like serving or receiving or wanting your opponent to serve first. Maybe it's just like something you just gauge in the warm up, or maybe it's something you talk about with your team beforehand or in the practice. Like, I really have no clue. Like, I don't know. Like, Shrihari is probably a better expert at this because he always tells me like, oh, Medvedev always chooses to receive first or something like that, or he always does this, and like somehow he's been tracking this, but like I don't know.
No, I don't think people actually choose that in the warm up or anything. Like for most matches, it's going to be the same for a certain player. I mean, if you choose to receive first, you're kind of banking on the fact that, well, I'm not going to be serving first. However, I'm going to sort of have a chance maybe to break in the first game. Maybe there's going to be a bit of a slow start. And it kind of has become the meta over the past 10 years or so, let's say. There used to be like, serve first was basically what everyone was doing. Okay. And then, there was a shift, let's say, around 10 years ago, around 8 years ago.
Do you think like a certain player would like change it? Like, would they ever do like, don't you think like depending on who they're playing, like maybe sometimes they'll serve first?
I mean, if you're facing someone, I don't know, maybe depending on the strength of the serve of your opponent, you can change that. But yeah, I think most players will just choose whatever they're comfortable with. Personally, I always go serve first, regardless of who I will be playing. Like, I can't see a situation where I would change that, and I think most players just do that. But yeah, it's actually pretty popular right now to go receive first, and especially on the women's side, like it does not really matter in the long run because you're not going to get to a tie break. In most sets you're not going to get to 5-4, and you have to serve second for example, right? So I would say in the WTA it should be even more meta to pick receive first.
I don't want to spend the next hour and a half talking about this, but we could easily do it, I know. But I mean, the basic thing would be if you're a strong server, if you're a big server, if you're a good server, solid, yeah, obviously you would serve first more often than not, unless you were trying to do something psychologically, spook an opponent or something by saying, you know what, I'll receive, bring it on. But that aside, I think there's not much. Funnily enough, again, Vanch was saying maybe you would see something in the warm-up, but you would think that teams and players would be more on top of this. But I'm aware of top professional football teams that are making these decisions on the hoof when it comes to penalty shootout, which is just nuts to me. I mean, even as recently as 10 or 15 years ago, going into a penalty shootout and not knowing who's going to be taking the first penalty, or to me, this should be every single corner and every single percentage should be all fixed and ironed out long before the last.
But they don't know who's going to be on the pitch,
no,
actually.
That's also
substituted, right?
But that should
and also sometimes someone just doesn't feel like it, and then he probably shouldn't be taking it. Like, he probably should be moved to the back of the queue if they feel tense, ahead of the penalty. You should throw out guys who are like, bring it on. I'm gonna serve the other. I'm gonna serve. I'm gonna shoot. Sure. Bring it on. So I think it's actually perfectly fine. And I don't think it's something that the coaches and players really give a lot of thoughts to. Like I would assume that 90% pros just go with whatever they're comfortable with. Receive first is like not only just spooking, but also the first service game, the first game of the match tends to be like one of the most shaky. The one where you still haven't found your rhythm too much. So there is a serious chance to break.
Remember, I think it was Sinner threatening to break Novak's serve in the first game at Wimbledon last year. And it's like, okay, this could be interesting, but then he didn't break, and the rest was history pretty much.
I wouldn't know because I didn't watch it.
Do you remember that match, the quarterfinal, I think, or semi-final, was it Wimbledon? Semi-final, yeah.
Semi-final last year, yeah.
Just in a I'm probably a point or so behind you guys, but I'm just in a very wild first serve from Swiatek. How was the wind yesterday, Vanch? And by the way, how were the bees yesterday as well, Vanch?
The bees were, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I was sitting like at the very top of the stadium, so I was facing I was on the side of where Zverev was on when the bees attacked Carlos. So at that point, the people in that corner of the stadium, they were all just like fleeing, and they came and there's this huge swarm, and like Carlos immediately just ran, and it was like probably about a 90-minute delay overall, and obviously like no one's ever really seen anything like that, and pretty much everyone in the next 2 hours was just making memes and jokes about it, and we're trying to become an insect or be expert. So that was quite amusing.
Yeah.
And then of course they had Lance, the hero of the day, come out and try and suck all of those bees out of the spider camp, because for whatever reason it was all just attracted to the camp. I don't know exactly why that is, but it was all very amusing, and actually the players seemed to really be amused by it, especially Alcaraz. He just seemed in such a great mood and everything that he was just laughing it off the whole time.
Indeed. I'm going to take a back seat. I'll come back at various points, but I'll speak to you soon as we watch this match unfold.
Yeah. Do you have any more thoughts on the BNP Paribas Open?
Come again?
Do you have any more thoughts on the bees situation, or you good?
No. I think yesterday, sitting here on the stream for almost 2 hours that the break lasted, we kind of ran out of the bee thoughts, bee jokes, the horrible bee puns that we were going for. Yes, Keen, I agree with you. Like the Ugo Carabelli Drax match is, me saying that was some peak tennis was not exactly, I was being sarcastic for sure. But apparently you can still win matches like this and make challenger semis like this. Anyway, Iga Świątek will have 3 break points in the meantime. There were some interesting attempts in the first game of Kostyuk to drop shot Iga and bring her forward. Maybe we're gonna see a lot of that. It's definitely not a bad play. So far, the entire event, Iga has been starting pretty slow, aside from the Putintseva match. I guess not here, as she just completely bullies the next point and manages to get the break. But 4 matches so far, of course, for Iga, and 3 of them were kind of shaky. The 7th game of the first set is a big turnaround, and then after that, she, of course, runs away with it. Never lost a game, actually, after the early slow starts against Collins, Noskova, and Wozniacki. Of course, against Wozniacki, we can't know if she would have gotten the bagel in the second set, but she didn't need to. And, of course, the one against Yulia Putintseva was a little different. What can Marta Kostyuk bring to the table today? What can she do to stop the sort of imminent title for Świątek? Because if you just, I guess this has been the case for the last 2 rounds or so, but looking at the Świątek draw, it's very hard to find someone who's going to beat her here.
Yeah, I actually had this pick before the match that I thought Kostyuk might have a better chance of beating her than the winner of the second semi, but that was more just based on Kostyuk. I just seen few more improvements in her game. Recently, the baseline variety has certainly improved. Point construction as well. Just feeling a lot more comfortable in some of the bigger matches, especially since the Wimbledon win. I think over Sakari, she's really started to build on that.
Was that the first top 10 one against Sakari? At Wimbledon?
Yes. So basically, since then, and then she's just kind of carried over the form from San Diego, a little bit against what's that? A bit of a
5
lucky break.
minutes. 5 minutes.
San Diego. San Diego.
Yes.
It took him 5 minutes.
got
It
it in.
took him 5 minutes. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I had to
Oh.
point it out because it actually, the momentum actually carried here. So I think it deserves a mention. But yeah, no, like I wasn't at all surprised that she kept it going. I thought she would. So, anyways, back to what we were talking about. Yeah. So no, I think honestly, like I don't hate the play using the backhand slice, bringing Iga forward, trying some of that out. But like Iga, this last service game, I mean, she's really come out hitting the ball really big off the forehand right from the get go, and that wasn't the case against Nashkova Collins or was the other opponent Wozniacki. Yeah. Against Putintseva, actually, some of the commentators I was listening to, they were quite harsh on Iga's performance. One of the commentators was like, "I'll give her a C for this," and I'm like, "She literally won 6-1, 6-2." But anyway,
I mean, she did make some stupid errors and she did lose a lot of serves, but like, yeah, still no.
Yeah,
Like it was all inconsequential. It was all in like, you know.
I would have thought it was a more of a B level type performance, but yeah, I mean, it was very inconsequential. So
Yeah, and like, yeah, there were a lot of like
like a
poor smashes and stuff, kind of brought up by the Putintseva defense. I mean, still not shots that Swiatek should be missing, but also not shots that will sort of like steer this into C territory or anything like that. Lots of stars watching this match so far. Tommy Haas, Monika Seles, Tommy Haas's daughter, I assume, unless he is having like a random kid on his lap, which would be kind of disgusting, but no, I'm assuming that it's his daughter. Anyway, 2-1 for the 15. I was gonna say something earlier, but what was that? Oh yeah, because you were talking about Kostyuk improving in all the areas of the game and stuff. I guess, you know, Sandra Zaniewska, a mediocre tennis player, a phenomenal tennis coach apparently. And that was quite a big story, of course, as well, with that initial Alice Cornet and Petra Martic gigs were like, they basically just heard her talking about tennis or something like that, and they were like, oh, this will be a good coach, and yeah, sure. Turns out that it is the case.
Just trying to formulate my Vange bingo card. What's the Taylor Fritz expression?
Top 5 ball striker. Top 5
ball strikers.
Yeah, there you go.
See you soon.
Bold prediction has to be there as well. And you keep mentioning the wings.
Bold. Yeah, bold.
You keep mentioning the wings. I actually haven't heard it yet, really. But
what is the wings? To be honest, what is that?
No, because John always says that you tend to say that someone is very strong of both wings.
Solid off of both wings. Yes, wings, like as in forehand, backhand.
Yeah, forehand, backhand.
Exactly. Yeah, Shrihari's on board with that because I said it to Shrihari. He's like, yeah, he does say that a lot too. Yeah. So I've got both wings. Taylor Fritz, ball striking, and what was the other one? There was one other. Sorry. There was ball striking.
San Diego.
Yeah, got San Diego.
Bold prediction.
Bold
prediction. Okay.
Yeah, the bold prediction.
I don't use that very often. I don't use that very often.
I guess so. Maybe like referring to your bracket or something like that. Maybe that can be a bingo thing. Because yesterday, Jack was doing like this bingo. Well, he wasn't doing it properly, but he was just like constantly laughing about the Zverev bingo, where like after a missed +1 forehand or after a horrific volley at the net or a double fault on the key point, you would drink to it. So
that's funny.
Basically, yesterday you would find some opportunities to drink to the Zverev bingo, yes. And if we had a Vange bingo, apparently, we would already have the San Diego shot. No wings mentioned yet, though. And actually, I don't feel like you say that a lot on the Iga Carlos show either, even though both of them are strong of both wings, So I don't know. I guess I have to look out for that now. Whenever you say wings, I'm gonna be like, and then I'm gonna text John. Yeah, he said it. But yeah, pretty crucial, of course, for Kostyuk to like win a few of these early games, because it doesn't feel like Iga is having a slow start right now. I mean, she kind of didn't against Putintseva either, but Putintseva is like 1,000 times more defensive, I suppose. That's a pretty amazing point right now by Kostyuk as well. I guess it's a bit of a shame for her that she's already down the break, but that was spreading the court
I feel
very
like
well.
she's playing well
finishing
right
it
now,
off.
but she has nothing. She's kind of playing well right now, but she has nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Let's see if that continues.
Of course, the Swiatek serve is not exactly like a fortress that cannot be entered or conquered. So it's not like she still doesn't have chances here. It is kind of like the biggest run of her career alongside the Australian Open quarterfinal, which kind of feels weird. I was like, looking around. Of course, she has a WTA title, a WTA 500 final, but I would still say that
The WTA 500 final, 1000 semi, and Slam quarterfinal, they're all kind of equated the same.
Yeah, it's kind of and all this year, so we can kind of paint the picture there. I mean, San Diego, I think is like clearly less important than the other two. However, sure, yeah. I mean, because it's also this year.
Slam.
Yeah,
San Diego's and Slam. Okay. Right. No, I'm just doing it on purpose, but yeah. Anyways.
No, I kind of did that, but yeah. Certainly, because it's this year, we can kind of just combine that into this one big narrative for her. I mean, she's kind of falling apart here, though. Was 40-15 up, and on the second break point, she misses a very simple volley into the net. And now also here has an open court and just nets the shot. So, yeah, from that great point to go 40-15 up, she's definitely unraveled a little bit.
She was up 6-0, 3-0 against Potapova. She said after the match that was the worst position I could have been in.
Okay. Well, she is 1-4 down against Iga Swiatek now with a double break, so I guess that's the worst position right now. But well, yeah. What did she say about that?
The worst position is when you actually lose the first set, because then you're not going to win, because this stat 69-0 now in WTA 1000 matches completed at 1000 level, and that is my favorite Iga Swiatek stat right now. There's many of really good Iga Swiatek stats, but that is my favorite. That 1000 level completed matches after winning the first set.
That's definitely not my favorite, because it's like a bit too specific for me already. Like WTA 1000, like what was the difference between this level and
70 matches,
500?
and you don't lose a single.
I know.
I don't know. To me, that's just absurd. Like every 5-year stretch. And ironically, the two ones that she's lost from a setup have been in the majors. So yes, that's the weird part about it.
It brings it down a little bit, Keen apparently says that Kokinakis is going to Title Town. Do you mean singles, doubles, maybe both? Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen in singles, but well, we'll see. Of course, he's still in the event if they actually start playing in Phoenix today, which they might not. That's the problem with these 175s that start their play on Tuesday and don't have roofs. Things might get pretty tricky if there's just one day of rain, basically. But we'll see. Of course, still a bit of time at least for them. I think it's like 4:30 p.m. in Phoenix. So actually, it's not gonna be easy to play, even if they start soon. Yeah, Marta Kostyuk 1-4 down. That's pretty massive that she missed that 40-15 opportunity here. These are, I mean, honestly, recently watching Swiatek's matches, a lot of them at least, perhaps not against Noskova, Collins, and Kenin at the Australian Open, but generally, if you're watching Iga Swiatek in like Doha, Indian Wells, some court that suits her, it's like you're every single game that the opponent has a chance of clinching, they like really have to do it, because otherwise they're not going to keep up. You're kind of watching all of these players go up 40-15, either on serve or on return. And like the moment they don't pull it off, it just becomes even more and more lopsided because, yeah, I mean, she just kind of demands that you take these little chances to stay competitive. And Kostyuk, well, little chances. I mean, 40-15 on your serve, I guess, isn't a little chance. But, usually we don't talk about a game like this as like some big major missed opportunity for a player. But like, that's kind of where we are with most of Swiatek's matches and courts like this right now, where like, yeah, a player doesn't take a game from 40-15 even on their serve, and it's like a big missed opportunity because you might not get more.
Yeah, that's what happened in Wozniacki, Noshkova, Collins, a ton of other matches.
It's every match really. Like Doha, it's every match. You get like, I don't know, even someone who comes relatively close, like Alexandrova, she misses so many 40-15s. Who else was there? There was someone who missed like Svitolina in the Dubai match, for example. Rybakina in the final, yeah, but also Rybakina was, it felt different because you kind of expected that would be competitive, and I guess there it's a little different. But like Svitolina in Dubai, for example, in the second set, I think she doesn't convert the 40 love on serve twice, and like, yeah, it just feels like we're watching this time and time again. That players go up 40-15 against Swiatek, and the moment you don't take an opportunity like this, I mean, it's just gone. Like the set is just over, and Kostyuk is just hitting more and more errors here. 5-1 Swiatek.
I also feel like the serve vulnerability is not really that much of a factor on these courts for both Iga and Carlos, because it's just not as relevant here.
Well, it is bouncy, so I guess it's tougher to blast them.
It helps their kick serve, and also that play that they both love to do on the ad side with the kicker to the opponent backhand and then have the forehand in the middle of the court, and that's
it's clay
really
basically.
strong.
So it's clay. So yeah. Like this
But
is
at the same time, that doesn't like work for Iga in Madrid as well, but it works for Carlos. So there's that.
No, Carlos's serve is less attackable for sure. It might not be like the biggest thing in the world, but players usually are not going to like blast winners off of it on a faster court. From Swiatek's, yeah, some will, but here, yeah, definitely not. And especially with how the draw opened up. But I always say that the draw has opened up for her, but that's literally just Rybakina and Sabalenka falling out. So, it's not like the draw opening is that huge. I mean, we do have this sort of situation on the tour right now where we have 3 players, then it's Goff, but she's like kind of, a bit behind these 3. And then you have basically the rest. And as the moment you get Sabalenka and Rybakina out of the event, Swiatek is going to be the main favorite to win it. Of course, that actually doesn't hold up, in my opinion, again, for Sabalenka or Rybakina. They're not as consistent. However, yeah, when you get Swiatek on the court like this and her 2 main contenders fall out of the event, the pressure is instantly there to just get the title. We'll see if she can do that. So far, of course, she's looking kind of destined to pull it off, but, Coco Gauff beat her last year. Maria Sakkari, yeah, I guess since 2022 she hasn't been the toughest rival for Swiatek, but in the past she's also beaten her.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Sakkari's best results have come in Indian Wells and Madrid. It just suits her perfectly. Well, of course,
her best result has actually come in. But her best result has actually come in Guadalajara. But no, I get what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, okay. But like, okay, yeah. So this is her most consistent Masters. Oh. So it looks like, yeah, unforced errors 2 for Iga, 13 for Kostyuk. That kind of says it all.
Yeah, Sean, that was Berrettini's first. That was Berrettini's first match since the US Open. And today he's supposed to play, return to his match against Artur Kazova. Doesn't seem like this will happen anytime soon, as it's still ready.
Fritz, door closed on Fritz. What are we talking about? As in winning a slam? or what?
Yeah,
thought
I
that door closed
rewinded.
long ago.
I'm not really sure where we are. I like scrolled back to the top of the chat. I guess Keen was asking, how do you feel that there is a good chance there won't be another US male Grand Slam champ? So I guess that was that was what he was referring to with Fritz.
I mean, Shelton definitely has the best chance right now. So, not really Shelton or Korda if he can figure out his forehand for the life of him and stay healthy and be more
Keen says that
consistent.
Fritz's door
Yeah.
was shut over a year ago. I would say that it was never open when it comes to winning.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that actually.
Yeah, I don't know
I
when
would
it's
agree
shut.
that his
like,
door was never open. Like, was anyone ever saying he was going to win a slam? Like, was he ever in?
Are you thinking of Wimbledon
thinking of-
2022? I guess maybe you're thinking of Wimbledon, but yeah.
Maybe, but
I
best
think
he would have
Taylor
done
had
is got to the final and then lost to Novak. That was the best case scenario for him there.
Yeah, have to disagree with that.
I'm doing my talking with my face. I know I'm talking right now, but I think it's okay, I'm now going to talk, but is it completely shut on Fritz? Is it boom? And was it never open, Damien? That you mentioned Wimbledon 2022. Yeah.
No, it was never open. I mean, Vansh is right to say that like the trajectory of Fritz's career is, some solid, steady development, but like no one actually ever thought he was going to win slams, right? I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go never.
I think there's still a chance.
Yeah, I think if listen, that 2022 Wimbledon, it was kind of there. It was, he could easily beat Rafa that day, and then he's in the semis, and yeah, I think there's a lot, and I think he's also I think he's turned a corner in the last few months, in the last 6 to 12 months. I think since that loss to Novak, compare the two Novak matches.
But John, I mean, everyone else is improving too. I mean, you've got Sinner and Alcaraz.
I know. I'm just not closing it. That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
And I'm also not going as far
as
Damien to say it was never open.
This is very weird coming from a person who is so down with
top 5 ball striker, but it was never open.
I mentioned Stefanos in the chat, and I that was part of the reason I joined as well, but also because Nerland said I want to see John on the screen too. But I'm actually kind of closing it more on Steph than I am on Taylor, even if Steph has a few more tools, maybe.
No, this is very weird, actually. Yeah.
Well,
and I love this comment. I love this comment from Nurlan. Keen says a lot of stuff. I think we should take them with a pinch of salt.
Oh, that's the comment of the year. Did you see what I wrote?
Very ironic. Yeah.
I know. Did you see what I said in response? Something like, "How much salt do we need for you, then, Nurlan?"
Yeah. And by the way, how did I scare you about our potential?
Oh! This is an easy question, unlike some of the other ones. Oh, because of your mention about finals and serves and that's unnerving, Damien. When you start talking about being in
finals,
yeah, you said that you said something about being in a final in a tournament or something, and
I was talking about the table tennis events then, actually.
Right. I'm going back to relax mode. See you soon.
Don't worry. I don't know if I've ever won a tennis event. I've been fourth at something, I think. But I've won an event. Actually, it was my hometown's championships under 18, and there were like 6 kids, and I was the oldest of them. So I don't think this will scare John. But I did win a title like this in tennis. But yeah, other than that, I don't think so. But yeah, actually, that example that I was using yesterday, that was not that was table tennis, actually. Is Tommy Paul looking second most likely right now out of the Americans to win a slam? That's a very interesting question. When you're so close to 0%, it's kind of hard to estimate this.
I don't think I'd put him over Taylor. But I don't really.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't
know. Like, if he does match up against some of the top players better. Like if he were to play Alcaraz, you give him a better.
Yeah, but he has to win the 7 matches. He has to win the 7 matches.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I get that. Like if we just sort of agree on putting Shelton first, yeah, Tommy is not going to be second. By the way, Kostyuk just firing this great backhand return winner. Maybe she still has some fight left in her in the first set. She is 2 points away from losing it, but she's also 2 points away from potentially breaking Swiatek. And this next point looks very crucial. But yeah, she's just kind of just moved from corner to corner by Iga, and eventually she's not going to make it. I read an interesting tweet today. I don't remember who it was. It was like one of these big time journals. Maybe it was like Christopher Clary or something. And he said that this is a matchup between like the two of the best defenders in the game or something like that. I mean, I don't know if I particularly like it's not a ridiculous statement, but it was kind of interesting to like sort of use it as one of the biggest, stories here or something like that. I was just interested to sort of see here, if that's also a little like, eyebrow raising for most people or not.
It's so funny. I was just about to say about 10 minutes ago that Kostyuk is a top 5 defender for sure. I don't know why I'm so into this top 5 stuff, but yeah, top 5 defender. I think for sure. I think that's very true.
I don't see it honestly.
It's like so good. What's that? You said I don't see it.
Yeah, I just said I don't see it. Like the way, and especially today. I mean, the way she's just getting bullied so far, and late to basically any shot that she has to take on the run. I mean, yeah, it's been rough for her to have shots so far.
She doesn't really like have any idea what to do right now. Like she's more just playing very risky and just hoping that it works. She's kind of just having a free head. That's how I see this match.
Sometimes, but like, 30-all here. She tries to grind, she tries to counter punch, but like, it's just a very poor attempt. Like she has no option of returning these balls. Like, every single time she's like pushed somewhere, she's on the run here. She's
this
in
is
trouble
her first
already.
Proper crack at Iga, in a way, because the first time they played was so long ago that you didn't really take anything.
The French, I mean, Iga lost the match right after. And Kostyuk, we've talked about this, I think, on one of the streams, that like she's been around forever. It's ridiculous that she is younger than Iga because she's been around forever.
Yeah.
That first set was a kind of a non-event, but it also reminds me of the French Open final where the first set against Mukova was a non-event, and then things took off. That return position, by the way, I thought was kind of intriguing for Marta, where she was obviously hugging and then even inside the baseline and actually having some success on 2 points there. Be interesting to see if she can do something with that in the second set.
Yeah, 68, by the way, they say Vansh on the screen, not 69. I don't know which one is right because I haven't checked that. But
68 what?
The wins at WTA 1000s after the first set is done. After she wins the first set, Iga.
Okay.
Her record at WTA 1000s.
And it's 0 losses, right? So it's 68 or 69 and 0, right?
Yeah. Vansh was saying 69 and they showed 68 on my feed earlier now.
Maybe maybe they're just counting a walkover or something, because I know she got a walkover in, what is it, Doha?
You said more actually you said more than them. And it's also after you win the first set, so it can't be a walkover really. But yeah, I don't know. Again, it doesn't really matter.
Maybe they've included the one or I don't know. Hello, Nick. Nick, by the way, must be feeling.
It should be included, I think.
Yeah, true. Nick must be feeling very chilled if he's joining the chat, bearing in mind his allegiances.
If Kostyuk starts finding the court, Iga will need to adjust, says Nick. We'll see. I mean, is she not finding the court, or is she just stranded? Just jumping.
She's actually hitting the ball a lot harder than she was. She's trying to just go big on both ground strokes compared to previous rounds. Like it's.
Because otherwise, she's getting burned. I mean, but that's also a response to what she's facing, right? I mean, when she was playing Potapova, it was very different.
Yeah, also none of these shots, like these other players who hit the ball a lot flatter, She's like dealing with that a lot better than
Yeah.
who's,
like she's not handling the shot quality that basically coming from Swiatek right now. I don't think she's particularly heavy on the misses or something. I mean, of course she's had the volley, a few double faults, and actually one right now. But like that's all kind of still her trying to break out of these rallies that she's getting destroyed at. So, well, somewhat similarly to, let's say, who was it just a couple of days ago that some people were like saying, I don't remember, but someone basically commented under one of my tweets that like, also this guy played a horrible match. Oh, it was, I know, I was doing the commentary on this Shang against Thompson. But yeah, Thompson played such a horrible match, but that was mostly because that's what he was thrown into, and he didn't handle sort of the patterns too well.
Wait, I want to make sure I get this stat right about the completed first set. What is it was 58-0 after Beijing. Okay, yeah, 58-0 after Beijing. So then it would have been 62 after Doha. So then 65 after Dubai, and then 69 after this. So I don't know what's different.
I don't know. The WTA apparently, or the feed didn't count one of these for whatever reason. And will there be a break already? Yes, indeed. Again, just absolutely no chance for Kostyuk in that last rally. Oh, this was the question. Yeah, more likely Polish feed Hubert to win a slam or Iga to win a calendar slam. I still think it has to be Hurkacz. I don't think he's particularly likely to win a slam. I think he's kind of unlikely to. However, Iga winning all 4 slams, including 3 that don't, like especially 2 right now that don't suit her at all. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like to combine all of this. No. Something else? Do you think? Kim is coming up with good questions indeed. Do you think it is correct that weed is a banned substance for tennis players when it is legal in so many places? No, I don't think it's correct. I think the drugs that are sort of instead of maybe boosting your performance but can be taken recreationally, there's absolutely no reason to ban them for tennis players or other sportsmen. I've never really understood that. I mean, there are some people arguing that you could actually take micro doses of cocaine or weed or something like that and try to boost your performances like that, but I don't know, it seems very far-fetched to me. Like I doubt Dan Evans was trying to boost his performance when he was taking cocaine. He was just having fun somewhere, and I don't care if it's legal or not. Like that that is his consequences if he ever has some issues with that. I don't really know why he would be punished for that in terms of a ban. But that's basically my stance on it. You got going to the net here and missing a pretty simple volley.
I don't think players should be banned. At the same time, of course, if you can avoid it, you probably should. But I mean, if you just recreationally use it once in a while, I suppose it should be.
That's your responsibility. Like if you want to destroy your body, and also taking drugs is obviously not gonna be good for like your overall well-being and also like preparation in terms of getting your body right for events. But like that's your responsibility. That's not something that we should really be expecting from you or punishing you for. Like if it's not a drug that can be used for in terms of boosting your performance, then I don't see the correlation really between these two. But up a set and a break already. The match is kind of very quickly getting away from Kostyuk. Let's see if that continues. That's a very nice point from her, actually. Finally, she was able to get that pretty heavy topspin forehand from Swiatek back with interest. Then she finds a good counter as well, as Iga was maybe lifting the ball a little bit too much here. But still, I mean, she hit it into that open space beautifully, and also the volley finish this time is flawless. So she brings herself to 30-all. That's a body serve return that she should be landing into the court, though, especially in such a position, despite probably getting a bit surprised by the placement and stuff. So we get a game point for Swiatek to really get that lead in the second set going.
Points that I've seen her play in San Diego and like the other matches here, because she was just allowed to do that a lot more. Right now, Iga's just been on top of her, even more so earlier on in the rallies, because she sort of found that rhythm very early on in the match, right after the first game, whereas that wasn't the case when she was playing in the day, actually in her other matches. Seems like actually maybe the nighttime colder conditions, or it's not even night, but like evening.
Is it nighttime? Yeah, I was about to ask. Is it nighttime? Yeah.
No. Like evening, like afternoon, evening,
Well,
later afternoon. Then suppose playing at like 1 or 12 when it's more sunny and stuff. But
I suppose the
that's
final
cool.
will have to be when it's more sunny, as well. Unless it will be a day like today, which apparently in Indian Wells is pretty cold anyway, or at least cold for Indian Wells standards.
Yeah,
Kostyuk
yesterday was
fighting
very
back a
cold.
little
It
bit.
was very windy in the night.
Mhm. Yeah, today I think it's colder even, but less windy.
Yeah, lower temperature, but not as breezy.
Yeah. Yeah, Kostyuk is just simply trying to rush as much as she can, trying to sort of hit back at Iga, and most of the time she's not able to sustain it. However, she did play a couple of really nice points here in this game. Who is that woman that Monica Seles is sitting with? They keep showing her to me. Maybe it's just her daughter. I don't know.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I've seen her like
But I'm
5
also just
times on
behind you.
this
Like
game.
I'm watching the point at deuce. I think you're a point or two ahead. Oh man.
As usual. The problem is that if I choose the stream that is behind, I'm gonna be like 2-3 points behind you then. So there's like no good middle ground really. And that's been the case for Indian Wells streaming all week, regardless of who I was doing this with.
When I'm watching the tennis TV matches, usually when we do this for the men's side, then I'm usually less behind. But this tennis channel connected to a cable provider, it's slowed down when I sign in somehow. It's whatever. Yeah,
The
I don't know who
tennis
this
channel
person
is
next to
doing an
is.
amazing job as usual.
Yeah, the main issue is the TC Plus. They have to fix the lag time. Okay, well, Iga holds, but she was made to work a little bit for it. But we'll see if Marta can get anything going here. It's just running away so quickly.
Is there a policy on players drinking alcohol, says Nick? No, absolutely not.
No.
Obviously, it's not good for you. But
drinking at night.
I think Marat Safin is probably the most famous example of losing a Grand Slam final because he went out drinking last night. Yeah, there are still tennis players on tour who drink kind of, let's say not drink every day, but like party kind of heavily, even during tournaments, and they somehow pull it off. I don't know how, but maybe
What slam final was that, by the way? I didn't know it was before a slam final. Which one was
2002 Australian Open, Thomas Johansson.
Oh, is that a true thing? Like he actually drank before?
Yeah, he went out until like 4 or 5 a.m. or whatever, and yeah. No, sort of, all due respect to Thomas Johansson, still a great player, but well, Marat was not at his best in the final. Let's say that.
That's a big one wasted. I suppose he did get the 2000, 2005 majors, but yeah, the point is he could have probably won more. He should have won more. You could argue he's one of the best examples of an underachiever. Even though he had a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, but he never really cared, I guess. Never really like took the time to get his preparation, get his body right and stuff. So I guess one of these who were simply a little too crazy to be at their most serious about their careers.
Iga is winning 53% of her return points right now.
That's kind of her usual standard, right? I mean, she breaks like 50% of the time. Just usually maybe not in the semis of such an event, although that happens as well, I suppose. And yeah. Oh, Kostyuk feeling some pain here on the leg. Is she gonna call the trainer after the game or something like that?
Let's see. I'm behind, so I don't know what's going on. I'm watching the point at 40-30.
Yeah, it's gonna be right after this point. And then a pretty lengthy delay until the next one.
Looks like it's the left. It's like the leg or the foot. I don't know.
Yeah, some like ankle maybe. I don't know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's also gonna be grabbing it after. She's gonna be grabbing it after the next point as well. But she's also gonna hit a ridiculous shot. So get ready. But yeah, she's like even like she grabbed it a few times. She started walking over to the service line, then stopped and once again grabbed it. So probably she's gonna have that trainer visit on the break. She's kind of hardcore trying to end the game right now. Let's see where it takes her.
I wonder if this is okay. Yeah, that was a ridiculous forehand winner, but obviously she is like in pain right now because she's walking very gingerly. Makes you wonder if this was something before the match or just kind of very suddenly, because we saw no sign of it before. But she's going to come forward here and just swings at that forehand volley and still in pain.
Yeah, not gonna lie. I mean, this has not been the most intense watch of my life. If we get a double break here as well, it could be really well. The match will feel over, especially with that Kostyuk issue right now. And she will get broken indeed. Iga showing her on the next point how to forehand volley. And then she just finds a big backhand return cross as well. Kostyuk unable to get to it. So it is 6-2 free love, double break. Probably expecting that trainer visit right now from Kostyuk. I don't see it yet, but yeah, indeed. I just saw the umpire telling Iga that it's going to happen. And indeed, there's a lady running over to Marta Kostyuk. I don't think the lady is as famous as Lance Davis is, but maybe she could also like wear a shirt with her name on it and get some clients. Probably it's not allowed by the WTA and ATP, I suppose. But anyway, she is gonna massage that foot or something like that.
Well, that quickly ended her hopes of doing anything in this match, I would say. I mean, I'm not totally writing it off, but like, yeah, it looks very bleak.
I mean, yeah, in a way, but they kind of also ended a lot earlier.
If she puts that forehand volley away, maybe a huge, twist needs to occur. French Open final-esque. But if she puts that volley away that she had at the net, which she should have put away, I mean, even if you're struggling with the injury that she may or may not have in terms, she should put.
It wasn't that simple of a volley though. And she wasn't that easy of a volley.
No, but Indian Wells semi-final. Which was easier? The Rafa semi-final French Open Novak Djokovic tie-break volley. If you remember that one, do you remember the one I'm talking about, Vanch? He's on top of the net and he puts it out. Do you know that one I'm talking about? In arguably the best set of tennis of all time. I think.
Okay, yeah.
That volley on top of the net that he puts out, and he's a mini break up. That would be a double.
Yeah. In the 2021 Roland Garros semi in the tiebreak third set. Yeah.
Was I see it's the foot that's being attended to. Was maybe the Rafa one was worse actually. Yeah,
probably.
Maybe. Yeah.
Hopefully she's able to play and we don't get a retirement. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of over anyway, but
yeah, I agree. I agree. It'd be good to see 2 complete sets. I mean,
if she's hurt, then I actually
if she's like really badly hurt, then yeah, especially because Miami and you don't want to risk anything and clay season. Yeah, she's playing really well. Overall,
there's always something to risk.
But what about this stream? What about the stream, Vanch? What about the stream, Damien? I mean, surely that should come before Miami and. I mean, I'm sure that's the back of her mind. I mean, she's thinking, how do these YouTubers keep going if I,
Yeah, definitely do. Keane said something about being Kazakh and smoking.
I'm watching that volley again, Vanch. Yeah, maybe I'm being a bit harsh. It was the decisiveness of the volley that, oof, dearie me. The decisiveness and how important it was that she just has to put that away rather than maybe the ease of which it was executable, if that is even the word. Oh, Vanch, I spoke to your mate earlier, Flinko.
Oh, yes. How was that? I'm sure he...
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great as always, yeah. I call him Flinko, even though I barely know him. But yeah, that was great as always.
Is there anything particularly insightful that you thought he said that?
I mean, actually, with him, it's more like this unbelievable memory bank that he has. I'd forgotten that. You two. When I say this, you two will remember it. And I remember it after he said it. But I had forgotten that he clawed back. Tommy Paul clawed back a 5-1 first set deficit to Novak in that Aussie Open semi-final. And it's a bit of a random thing, but it came up in conversation. Like I completely forgotten about that 5-1 to 5-all scenario in Australia a few years ago, and it's that kind of thing that just never escapes him in all sorts of moments that grabs me more than anything else.
Yeah, that always stands out whenever I talk to him because he'll remember like this turning point of a match at 3-2, 2015, and he'll tell you exactly what happened and how the match changed from there, and then he just kind of has it in his memory. He remembers he can visually just see the point happening.
Whether it's 48 hours or 48 years, it doesn't really seem to matter that time frame. And I asked him about the bees as well. And of course I said, you've been watching tennis a while, and of course he's never seen anything quite like that. And he's still got which I certainly think I have, which is that childish sense of humor, where, you know, I asked him about the B, and it takes him a couple of seconds. So I said, oh, I've got to ask you this before we talk about the semis. What about the Bs? And then it's like it settles, and then he has this huge laugh, you know. He realizes that I'm asking him about the Bs rather than Yannick Sinner against Alcaraz. His takes, and they're not always the same as mine, as I said to him, but his takes on those two men's singles semifinals were pretty similar to mine and probably similar to yours. The paper thinness between the Alcaraz-Sinner dynamic and the slightly wider gap in likelihood between Medvedev and Tommy Paul was there, and the paper thinness, he was falling on the Yannick side of things. What do you think, Dave? Are you making? I mean, he's 51.
Basically, he didn't say anything, so he didn't say anything because that's everyone's opinion.
Well, maybe, but maybe people are making Carlos. I don't know. Are you predicting a Carlos win tomorrow, Damien?
I mean what? I mean, there's no such thing as a prediction of a Carlos win in that match, like, or a Yannick win. There's no such thing, you know, because the edges are so close. Carlos hasn't lost in Indian Wells in forever. Yeah. Sinner hasn't lost in forever in general, and I mean, you can just really watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, but I think
that's too much. Like, if you're gonna have like a 6-4, 6-4, is it really that surprising?
Yeah, I think there is like, if somebody said, look,
they're both playing so well though. Like, it's like unstoppable force versus immovable object.
Yes, I was thinking of that expression too, Vanch. But listen, if you're out there and you're getting things right more often than not, but you say to me, Carlos is winning this and this is why, and then it happens, you might get lucky. But if you're doing that on a regular basis, then suddenly you're somebody whose ear you listen to, right?
Tomorrow is just luck.
Yeah, kind
of. Yeah.
Tomorrow there's just luck. One thing I have to say though is that we were in the past talking about Alcaraz being like a problematic matchup. I'm sorry, Sinner being like a problematic matchup for Alcaraz. We should definitely stop, because by now that difference between sort of how they handle most of the tour and their rivalry is non-existent anymore. Like, Sinner has joined him on the galactic plane.
Yes.
So exactly. Kind of like the whole matchup issue that we were talking about in the past, you know, it's still 4-all between them.
Yeah,
like it
5
for Alcaraz, yes.
4-3, but you throw in the previous encounter.
It's 4-all. It's 4-all. I'm not even gonna start on that. It's 4-all, and basically, so like that isn't shocking anymore because he has joined him on the galactic plane, and that's really it. Like, it's not a thing anymore. Like, we can't really talk about it as a problem matchup as we wouldn't talk about Djokovic as a problem matchup for Alcaraz, you know, because that's simply a player of his caliber. And I mean, tomorrow it's just luck to me if anyone says anything other than that.
I've just seen Iga's team, okay, and there were some chuckles amongst one or two people. One or two more sort of smiles, and one very, very stern, serious person. Can anyone guess who that one stern, serious person was within her team?
I expect what you want me to say, but
you know who it is, Damien, and Vanch maybe wasn't paying attention. Her surname is shared with a former Chelsea owner, put it that way.
The psychologist?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Abramovich, yeah. Or is it Abramovich or Abramovich? I'm probably mispronouncing it.
The first one.
Oh, really? It's Abramovich? Not Abramovich? Yeah. Abramovich, okay.
That's more Russian, I think, with the second version.
Okay.
Daria Abramovich. Like, in Russian, you would put the accent, I think, on one of the last syllables.
Oh, by the way, all of our...
was laughing. You don't know about what.
All of our WhatsApps earlier, Damien, were at, before we won't be talking about them on air, but all of our off-air WhatsApps that we were talking about was I was with a Polish friend of mine, and she was telling me what to write, and yeah.
I will tell you one I will tell you one thing, John. Though, like if the questions are serious and stuff, probably the best thing to do is to not even take out your phone that much. Not look at your phone.
It was done because she said get out your phone and start talking. Oh, and the reason I mentioned this is about pronunciation, because she said Damian, and I remember going, yeah, that's right. The Polish pronunciation is Damian as opposed to Damien, right?
I mean, Damian, something like that, yeah. But
you're so familiar with anglicization of your name that you just...
I've been saying it wrong the whole time?
Yeah.
I mean, sorta, but then again, yeah. I mean, people have always said it. Like, I don't know. English teachers, if you have an English lesson, for example, in Poland, it's very common to say just Damien, or to say, I don't know, let's say there's a Krzysztof, and they will call you Christopher. Let's say there's and so on and so forth. And basically, I'm used to both. So I can't really say you were wrong the entire time. You weren't saying it the way it's said in Poland, but I can't say you were wrong because I'm used to both. So I don't really care.
I don't give a flying proverbial about pronunciation in so many respects, because I think some of it's kind of stemmed in eliteness. But I have people writing to me on Facebook, and they write my name wrong. They
David better.
Yeah. So Damien it is. But I have people writing to me on Facebook, and they write JH. Hey, hi John, and they write JHON, and I'm thinking, you're literally looking at my name as you write this, because your name on Facebook Messenger is there, but it doesn't matter.
John, a second ago, someone on my Twitter commented and asked me, like, when is Sumit Nagal gonna play next? And they misspelled my name as well, even though they have to see it in order to reply. It happens all the time.
But there's one. He's actually a good friend of mine. He still spells, but I never tell him. I just thought. It reminds me of my father. My father goes to a cafe, and my father's name is Jake, but they call him, I think, Pete, and he thinks it's very funny that every time he says, when I go to this cafe, he says, wait, they're going to call me Pete in a minute, and they go, hey Pete, what would you like? And he never corrects them because he thinks it's hilarious that and this has been like this for 10 years. They call him Pete. Oh, that's a nice forehand winner for Marta. Anyway, 4-1. I'll come back in a little while.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in the meantime in the chat. I think you guys have answered that sort of. A lot of times you answered yourselves, so that was good. Indeed, if Kostyuk would retire, she gets the same prize money, the same points. It still counts as a loss for her because she started the match. A walkover wouldn't, but a retirement does, even if it's only 1 point. I think even if you started the warm-up, it would be considered a loss, but I'm not actually positive about that. Keen, I was expecting that you are talking about the FCAF, but I just wasn't sure if we are talking about that. But of course, David Ferrer is like the main example of.
Oh, you know what? I just realized that the WTA is not counting. The WTA is not counting the incomplete matches. That's why it's 16.
Okay, so they just didn't specify it. So they just didn't specify it on the screen, basically. But yeah, that's probably it.
Because then it
they're
would be
not
16
counting
and 1.
Wozniacki.
Because she did lose one match.
So they didn't specify it on the screen, basically. But yeah.
But then that makes me think that they're not including. They wouldn't include Collins, or I mean, not Collins. They wouldn't include the Wozniacki one either.
Yeah.
Because that was not complete.
Yeah. And everything
So
tracks. Why not?
Yeah.
Everything tracks because it was
Basically
68 and 0 on the screen. So there's one loss that's missing and there's one win that's missing, right?
Yeah. Unless there's one more that they haven't done. That's.
I don't know. I mean,
a loss. A loss. Who did she lose to?
Rybakina.
She lost to Rybakina in Rome. It was a retirement, but that still counts as a loss.
Yeah, you have to
the stat that I always put up on Twitter. I put it as
completed
matches because.
Yeah. Vange did say it at the beginning of the stream when he was talking about that stat, but the guys on the feed, whoever it was, they didn't specify it. And also, this question was also answered, but Jane, yes, Challenger TV has all the courts, all the matches. Tennis TV, go F yourselves. What else was there? I guess,
I don't know
yeah,
if they
point
just don't have a
difference. I
camera.
think
They
Nick
don't have the
also
right.
answered you.
I don't know what it is.
I mean, they just don't want to give you a product where it's just one camera, right? They want to give you the whole TV production, which is idiotic. But anyway.
Wait, where is it? So it looks like that foot is feeling a bit better, maybe?
Yes, Keen David Ferrer smoked for a lot of his career. And what else was
He
there?
would
I
run
guess
and then
nothing.
smoke a
So
pack.
retirement does affect records. I mean, yes, if you retire in a match, you're gonna have that win and or loss on your win-loss records. What were you talking about?
Oh no, I was just commenting on the smoking thing. He would run like crazy, like 3-6 miles a day and then smoke. That was the thing.
There's a lot of footballers who smoke and they also survive somehow. Keen mentioned Denis Yevseyev, who I've seen smoking myself a few times, and he's also like pretty fast around the court. It's possible, but of course, yeah, I don't really recommend it. If you want to get the best possible results. Let's see if Iga Świątek can get the best possible result here, which is basically just winning this match as quickly as possible, putting away Kostyuk for good. Gets a good opportunity here, and I think she lands the last forehand as well. Yeah, 6-2, 5-1 now, and is totally in control of the match. I think Kostyuk is running better now, but yeah, it's not like the foot was the main issue behind her.
So before the
Why don't
Wozniacki win
players
in
who are down-
2019 in Toronto, yeah, it was Tomjanovic. Oh, okay. So that's why it's not 70 and 68 and all. All right, whatever. Enough of that. That makes sense.
But then why is your count on 69 and not on 70?
No, it would have been 70, but I guess I was factoring in, I wasn't counting when I said completed matches, I was only counting I was only not counting the loss, but I wasn't including the wins where she actually retired or where her opponent retired.
My brain is about to explode.
Okay, basically she beat Tomjanovic and she beat Wozniacki yesterday. Those are the two matches where her opponents retired and she won the first set. So it doesn't count in that stat. But I included it in there because I was talking about completed matches, but I only didn't include the loss, but I should have also not included the wins. Anyways.
Okay. So you actually include so you were also wrong with the stat there, it seems.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, Ghosty, if you're down 1-4 in the deciding set, you can still easily win. So that's why they're not retiring. Yeah. And Nick said the same pretty much here. Yeah. You can still win. They still want to win. Why would you retire 1-4 down if you're healthy?
No, the question is, can Kostyuk avoid the breadstick? Can she avoid the breadstick? We shall find out. And it's 30-all. Swiatek trying to dictate with the forehand, and she does get the error from Kostyuk, who just isn't able to control that backhand. So now we have match point. And you're probably ahead of me, so I don't know. Maybe the match is over already for you, but yeah.
I'll let you see it for yourself. I'm just preparing the
here's the
tweet
match
for
point.
the Iga Carlos tennis, like a Twitter account. So I'll let you see it for yourself.
Kostyuk. First serve. No, okay, so that. Kostyuk misses the first serve, so second serve. Hopefully it doesn't end on a double fault. And we will see. No, it doesn't. She makes the second serve, and Swiatek cranks the forehand inside in winner on match point. So that is game, set, match in 68 minutes, 69 minutes. You guys through to the...
Yeah, including the MTO as well. I mean, about an hour of like real play time, and not the most interesting match I've ever seen.
I probably had incorrectly slightly bigger ambitions for this match. I thought that
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this would be closer.
Yeah, slightly
Especially the
bigger,
first set,
slightly
but-
bigger too. Yeah, first set, exactly. Like I expected another Noskova, Collins, Wozniacki, where like the first set is kind of tight for the first 6-7 games, and then probably the train, already leaves the station and you can't do anything. But this was pretty much done after like the first 2 games. So, well, 2 games, sorry, 3 games maybe, because that's the one where Kostyuk gets broken. And actually, no, let's say it was the 4th then, right? Or 5th, the one where Kostyuk has 40-15 on her own serve at 1-3 down, doesn't convert, and that's when the match is done.
she really wears her heart on her sleeve, doesn't she, Marta? As she walks off the court, she's really struggling to cope with a fairly convincing loss. I wonder where you come from, Vance, mentally when you're just beaten so comprehensively. How do you deal with that as a tennis player? How do you then go back to base and go, I'm going to right this wrong? Because it does feel like such a long journey.
Depends. I mean, sometimes a loss like that is just, oh, well, you just maybe focus on the positives and you focus on the great week that you had. And then you just, because you don't have that much time to really reflect, bounce back, or like think about it that deeply, maybe you just move on to the next tournament, or you just, then you just sit down later, you see what went wrong, what didn't go so well, what you could do maybe better next time. I mean, sometimes a loss like that maybe might actually be better than losing 7-6 in the third. Maybe it just depends on how your perspective is, how you see it. Or it can also be like, oh crap, like I thought I was closer to Iga, and I thought I was ready to at least make this more competitive, and it turns out I just got killed in an hour. So it just depends if you see it negatively or you see it as a way to improve. But
yeah, I think we've had that sort of conversation before. It's a really difficult one. What would you rather? Would you rather lose like a 5-set epic, like Daniel lost to Rafa in 2022, or would you rather just get a beat down like maybe Rafa had to Novak in Australia?
Maybe like Rafa after the Australian one, maybe that in 2019, maybe that was easier for him to accept, because he was probably like, oh well, I just I wasn't really ready. I beat everyone very comfortably, but then I got to Novak, I didn't really have my legs by then, or whatever he said. But I remember he used that as a way to like move on and then have one of the best seasons of his career. But like and then
I can tell you what he said more or less. He just didn't feel quite battle ready. I think he had a wrist injury for the previous few weeks, and then he just
hadn't played since the US Open, right? And then this was his first. So I remember that.
But in general,
killed everybody on the way to the final.
To mere mortals, what would it be like for a guy? So probably Rafa's a bad example, but someone who's just never been in that position before. What would Casper rather? Or what would not Marin Cilic, because he actually won a Grand Slam, but what would these people who got to Marin Cilic, also it doesn't quite work because he obviously won a couple, but someone who just gets to one Grand Slam final and this is their moment. David Ferrer, I think, made one Grand Slam final. Am I right on that with Rafa in Paris? Would you rather have a 7-6 loss in the 5th, or would you just rather have a beatdown? I don't know. It depends. Depends on where you are in your career and your ambitions.
Yeah, I don't think he gave himself much of a chance before that final.
Really? Did he? Has he said something to that effect?
I think he was basically like, I'll just try my, like, I don't think he really deep down believed that he could actually win that match.
What year was that?
2013.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Rafa's already had 8 years of success there, if you like. Back to today, the feeling of the women's tournament dying the day Sabalenka exited is gathering momentum, let's say. I'm not saying that Sabalenka was in a position to win this tournament. I'm not saying that maybe she was in the right physical state, because I think she was a bit hurt in her loss. But the sense of the energy has gradually eased out of the WTA side, and maybe we're going to have an epic final between her and Coco, or her and Maria, but it does feel like Rybakina's withdrawal followed by losses, and we don't have a wild card either. When I say wild card, I don't mean in the tennis sense. We don't have an Ostapenko. We don't even have a crazy qualifier, or like a Yastremska or whatever, who might throw a spanner in the works. We've got two players who we and Iga knows very well, who could potentially face her in the final, Damien.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with this, that like even when Sabalenka was in the event, Swiatek was clearly the favorite, but of course by then it was kind of like, yeah, we might get a pretty uninteresting final. I mean, Goff is still like distinctly like the fourth best player in the world right now. So, with her, we kind of can't complain. Of course, their rivalry has been pretty lopsided. I don't know if I trust in Coco winning against Swiatek on these courts. I kind of don't trust anyone. But, it's still a high-profile final if we get it. So, like, we can't really say that the tournament is dead already in that sense. Swiatek-Sakkari would also be a pretty interesting storyline, because, of course, that was the Intermos final 2 years ago. It wasn't particularly competitive, but she got 5 games, which against Iga these days is pretty massive. But yeah, also one interesting thing right now is that Iga is also currently in the lead in the WTA race already. So even though Sabalenka won the Australian Open, she kind of has barely gathered points since, other than that Brisbane final. And Swiatek is already in the first spot, despite going out to the third round at the only slam that we've had so far. So that also kind of tells you pretty much how dominant she is in these WTA thousands. And I think during the broadcast, I also said it, that like if Swiatek and Rybakina were going to go out, we wouldn't be saying that the tournament is dead.
No.
If Swiatek and Sabalenka were going to go out, we wouldn't be saying that the tournament is dead, because Rybakina and Sabalenka just don't have that same all-around consistency, especially on courts that suit them. Like, Swiatek has pretty much, unless it's super fast, she's kind of gonna beat everyone, and probably not gonna be like any thrillers in the meantime. Any matches that will be overly competitive in the meantime. So yeah, basically a beatdown. I'm expecting a relative beatdown in the final as well.
I mean, for the tournament to stay alive in a way, you need those other protagonists to stay in. Because I think Sabalenka, as she's shown in this tournament, and Rybakina for sure, are vulnerable at any point. Coco definitely, Jessica Pegula for sure, Ons and so on and so forth. It's all kind of about the storyline. Really is, if we think about it, is kind of about Iga, Vanch. I mean, maybe I'm living in a bit of an Iga and Carlos world here. Maybe I'm being subconsciously affected by Twitter, and more importantly podcasts, because in a way the narrative, particularly on the women's side, is if Iga's there or thereabouts, then that's what happens, and if Iga's not, well, let's let battle commence.
My approach has just been the same. Like all the tournaments that she's done well in the past, or all the surfaces that are like slow hardcourt or clay, like she's just going to be the favorite, like outright. It doesn't really even matter who's in the draw. But like if it's if it's those faster surfaces like Cincinnati or Dubai or Australia or Wimbledon or something, then then yeah, even on a percentage chance, I might still have her as the favorite. But that's just because then I actually care about what the draw looks like and where Sabalenka, Rybakina then, because that's where they become more relevant maybe. But in these 1000s, like Middle East, Indian Wells, like Rome, I'm just like, yeah, I think Iga's the favorite outright.
Both Damien and I pressed on Lance Cole.
Yeah, we pressed it at the same time, I figured, yeah. Swiatek has only played ball sprayers so far. It's such an interesting comment from Nurlan, given she played Wozniacki and Putintseva. But
and also, he made a comment about the Wozniacki match, which was equally amusing. And I think it was during a different stream. And I also shared a tweet from yours to sort of compare the two different viewpoints. And it was basically his comment was like, how lucky is Iga to have Wozniacki had that in the bag, basically.
I mean, yeah, she was 4-1 up, you know, but yeah, no, but it's been the story of every Iga match so far.
Oh, Iga got out of jail. That's what he said. Iga got out of jail. Though. It was so funny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know probably which tweet you're thinking.
And the tweet was from you. Was like
just the fact that she hasn't lost to a defense-oriented player in ages, other than really Coco and Cincy. And we might count Pegula in Canada. We definitely aren't going to count Pegula at the United Cup.
No, Pegula United Cup was a beatdown, I think, and was a comprehensive one on a very quick course.
I mean, Nurlan, I know you're giving us free players here, but like these free players are not reaching these rounds. So how are they going to play her?
Yeah.
Do you really? By the way, she played Rybakina in Doha. So also what?
Beat her in straight sets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, Van.
Well, straights was tough to do, but however, she beat her, and she. Yeah. Penko is the only one, by the way. Yeah, Penko is the only one who I think would have had a shot at Iga in the Wells.
Vanch?
But then, for instance, like Coco, if she does get to the final, does she have a shot at least making it competitive? Just given that she has won in Cincinnati, she is on the streak in America of not having lost in over a year.
More interesting.
She kind of has more of that extra factor, intangible factor than, let's say, a Sakkari would, right?
It's the more interesting.
Even though
it is the most interesting. It is the more interesting factor.
I would love to see Maria up a set and a break, but even then, I'm not sure. I can't see that, but even then, I don't know how much I would believe in Maria's ability and wherewithal and stuff. But yeah, in a way, I want to see Maria beat Coco because I just want to see Maria win a bigger title than she had obviously last year in, I think it was Guadalajara, wasn't it? But yeah, the Coco Gauff, it will sell tickets, and rightly so, and will be interesting. And if I think Coco needs to do something really a bit like she did in Paris rather than Cincinnati or somewhere else. I mean, for 5 or 6
in Paris.
Yeah, in the French Open, it was like 4-all or something, and I was like, and Coco was playing certainly by her standards pretty aggressively and very interestingly, and I thought this is great, and this is the only way you can really have a chance of beating Iga, and maybe on a different day she might have won that first set, and who knows what happens after that. And probably she has to do something similar, and it may go badly wrong, and that's assuming that she's in the final. But that's what you got to do. Who cares if you go down 1 and 2? It doesn't really matter. 1 and 2, 5 and 5 doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter. Right?
Are we perhaps like since Wimbledon, Coco has basically only had one bad loss, and that was in Doha. Like all of her other losses have either been Iga or.
Yeah, but she's also been close to a lot of. I know.
Losses, that's what's amazing is like she wins so many of these close matches that like she has no business winning, but she's just winning it on just playing her C game and just looking.
I know, but at the same time, she's not really. Since then, she hasn't really threatened Swiatek, Sabalenka. She hasn't played Rybakina since.
I felt that way.
I just don't trust her to beat I just don't trust her to beat the other three. That's basically it. Like right she can beat everyone else.
In this tournament is yesterday. Yesterday she was double faulting like crazy. Like she double faulted 17 times in a match that she won 4 and 3. that probably speaks a lot about her opponent as well in that situation, to not do a bit better than 4-3 when you're getting so many free points. But on the other hand, that's like she's winning anyway despite this, and then obviously apart from that though, I thought she played really well. She just kept double faulting. Was it crazy?
It's impressive, sure. I mean, it's impressive, but we're talking about winning a tournament, and that's the issue. That's the issue. She can get there for sure, to the final, to the semi-final, but is she going to win these events?
Every match she's played at this tournament, I've probably gone more on the Coco side because it's like I've looked at the match that she's playing, but she hasn't come up against, that bigger an opponent, let's say.
Again, that bigger opponent is only Swiatek, Sabalenka, Rybakina. We're literally in that state of the tour right now, where we have 3 very dominant players, one who is very consistent but kind of can't beat them, and then you have just the rest. So we can't expect them to be running into each other that often.
Sure. Yeah, right. And you're on one half and someone's... But it does...
Goff and Rybakina never play each other. So basically you're just looking at her versus Sabalenka or Iga. And in that time, she's 1-1 against Sabalenka. She's 1-2 or 1-2 against Iga. So...
both of these wins are in the North American hardcourt season. Iga playing in Canada, in Cincinnati. Well,
it just feels the gap, though.
Pretty awful. And Sabalenka,
the thing
US Open final.
To win Indian Wells... We've got those 3 players, and of course, for various different reasons, they're not in the tournament anymore, or 2 of them aren't. And that's right. You probably only have to beat one of them to win the tournament. Maybe even none of them.
Very often 0. Yeah, very often none.
We saw that with Paolini, for example, in Dubai recently, and various others. I'm sure there's lots of other stuff, but.
That's why I can't really get behind the whole big 3, big 4 thing, because how are you supposed to get behind that when you're not?
Yeah, but it is there. The reason why I'm behind it, Van, or what it is the gap. It's the gap.
It exists, yeah, because there's so much better.
That's so much better. There's those 3.
Yeah.
There's Coco Gauff, maybe on her own island, if you like, in the middle of nowhere, and then there's the rest of the tour in so many respects.
But I just feel like the gap between Iga and the other 2 is still.
By the way, some 1,000.
The gap between Iga and the other 2.
In terms of consistency, yes, but in terms of peak level, and especially not on every, especially on faster courts, in terms of peak level, there's no quality gap. So, but yeah, in terms of consistency, there is for sure. But all I'm trying to say is that every single draw that we sort of look at in terms of Gauff here, Swiatek here, it's very easy to say that it was just simple. But how would it not be simple? It can only really get tough in the semis or in the final, when you can play Rybakina, when you can play Sabalenka, with a few wildcards, which are basically Ostapenko, definitely. If you run into her at one of the earlier stages, sure, that can be considered a tough draw, and for all 4 of these, really. However, otherwise we can always say that the Swiatek draw was easy, or that the Gauff draw was easy to the semis, because there's really no one. Maybe we saw a good example of that, of course, at the Australian Open as well, that sometimes it can combine into a particularly tough draw, like Swiatek's first 3 rounds, but then you also require the opponents to step up, probably require some extra factors like the conditions. So I mean, it's just always going to be very easy to say, let's say for the foreseeable future, that someone has had a nice draw getting to the semis, because they can't face Sabalenka, Rybakina, Swiatek and Gauff. They can't face one another before the semis for the foreseeable future, as long as they are in the top 4.
I remember last year, I kept going into tournaments thinking Pegula's not in the right moment, this doesn't suit her, and various things. And then I was going through my bracket, and suddenly Pegula was in the semi-final, and that told me at the end of 2023 that she'd had some kind of nice draws, even though she wasn't playing the best tennis that she could do. She was appearing in the
she can't play Swiatek, Sabalenka, Gauff, Rybakina now until the quarters, but previously a lot of the time she couldn't play them until the semis. So again, it's decent draws, but we kind of have, this is also based on the situation we have on the tour right now. After the top 4 get eliminated out of the event, anyone can win it.
Kind of the same on the men's side. The only thing is that in terms of the consistency on the men's side of the top 4, there's less separation. On the women's side, there is still a separation. Like if you look at, basically since... So
I mean,
I
like
guess that's the thing.
Runa Medvedev, the gap there is narrower than...
No, like the gap between the top 4 on the men,
not that.
with Djokovic, Alcaraz, Medvedev, Sinner, is like there's very little gap between those 4 because they're just...
Between these 4, between one another.
I see.
Between these 4.
Djokovic hasn't started the year too well, but I get what you mean. Yeah. Medvedev, Alcaraz, Sinner, they all make the Indian Wells semis, right?
Yeah, like this very much does feel like they've really like separated themselves, and they're close to each other. Whereas on the women's side, I get your point. They've separated themselves from the people outside the top 4, but at the same time, there's still a gap in between the top 4. So it's like, it's
consistency-wise, there is, but
between those 3, because I do think the 3 have separated themselves from Coco a bit as well. Is between those 3, I think it depends on any given day.
That's the thing. Have they really? Because if you look at since Wimbledon, like Coco has been so consistent week after week. So like, why are we like not putting her more in that conversation?
Just
because she doesn't have the peak game to hang with them. Like I don't care that she won the 2 matches at the North American season. I don't care that she won the 2 matches in the North American
US Open
season.
final. In a way, the US Open final.
It's a great win, but
encapsulating both of our arguments in a way. In the US Open final against Sabalenka, that actually fits both of our arguments. Your argument is that she's doing unbelievably. She's winning Grand Slams. She's winning big matches. Our argument is that she shouldn't win that match in many respects.
But she is. But that's the thing. She's doing it over and over and again, and they're not. So that's the thing.
No, they actually are. Sabalenka won the Australian Open, beating her in the semifinals, and Swiatek has since beaten Goff twice without any issues.
And Swiatek is beating Goff 9-1. Is it? Overall,
I mean, Swiatek plays Goff in Sunday's final, and she's a massive favorite to win it.
8-2 basically, and I think Sabalenka in that final is a kind of 7-3, 8.
The fact that there's no sample size and that she only played Coco, she lost to Coco once, doesn't mean that she's gonna do it, twice out of 5, for example. I mean, of course, this is very eye test. I get what you mean. Like, this is still very untested and kind of depends on your subjective
opinion. If it keeps happening over and over again, then we have a longer sample size where it's...
But like, we need to have that subjective opinion in a way as well. Like, Coco Gauff is not as good as the other 3 at their peak, and has a lot more frailties at their peak. And I of course, great. Yeah, she's been consistent, but I just don't see her, really winning this title if Swiatek is around.
If the final on Sunday was Coco, or is going to be Coco against Iga, Iga's a big favorite, right, Vanch?
Huge.
Yeah.
And if it was Coco against Arena or Elena, we would probably, however, one way or another, each player got to the final. Even if Arena was battling through 3 sets all the way, we would make both of those 2 players the favorite against Coco, no matter how serene Coco was en route or badly the other player.
Maybe, but not as much of a favorite. Like, it would be a lot closer.
I agree.
Oh, of course not.
I mean, she could definitely force a lot of errors off of Arena. Even in Australia, I mean, wasn't she up 6-5, 30 love or whatever in that first set? And
agree.
Like, there is a match that could have gone either way. It was pretty tight.
Either way, that's my point. I just feel as though that's another good example. That semi-final between Arena and Coco and the final of the US Open, they did feel both very much like that. I don't know, that semi-final in Australia felt like it's Arena's kind of all the way. And in fact, the US Open final felt like that for a set and a bit. That's how I view it anyway. I don't know how you feel.
I know, and then the collapse happened, and then then Goff like pulled away in the 3rd set, and then I know. But
we're kind of in agreement. We are kind of in agreement.
But, kind of.
But there's a little bit to join.
I know.
All right. Well, lots of stuff.
But I give Goff a better chance in the final against Iga than I do if it's Sakari. I'll just say that. Even though I know Sakari has a winning record over Iga, and we just don't really look at it though.
Listen,
winning record before 2022. EGA before 2022 is not really like shouldn't
it's
be in
kind
the
of like the
records
Felix for
anywhere.
Carlos. Like it's not really that
Yeah.
relevant anymore.
It's a fictional problem. I also said it about the Rune Root match. That it's a fictional problem. The 6-1 is BS to me.
Yeah, Daniel Medvedev has some funny ones with that. Because Daniel Medvedev sort of pre-2019, if he didn't play you post-2019, then you might have a very favourable head-to-head.
I don't know if there's actually a record like that, but probably.
I think it's probably died out a bit more now, but there was kind of like 2020, 2021.
Like Pui and players like that are not relevant at all anymore.
Yeah, I mean, because like if we're talking about like Simon Bautista Agut and stuff, then like, you know, there was a reason for it.
Ghosty here, that's what I like this, yeah. Ghosty saying that we had you on the ropes in the first set, but you came back strong.
I'm not just saying this because she's American. I really don't care about that.
I know, I know that. You know that. And I hope that, although it may...
If she played in San Diego, though. If she played in San Diego.
Yeah, now that's different. Local. I was actually talking about this to my Polish friend who was complaining about football fans and nationalism. And I was like, yeah, I get that. It's a bit annoying. But when it comes to local pride, when it's like one corner of Poland against another corner of Poland, I'm all for it. All right.
It's like Nick with Birmingham. He knows how.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. Birmingham and Stoke. And funny enough, there was a conversation because Nick lives in Stoke, but Jerome is a Stoke City fan living in London. And I saw Jerome went a bit quiet and I wasn't sure what was going on here about, you know, maybe Jerome was thinking, Nick, what are you doing living in Stoke? That's my territory, or I don't know what's going on. But I'm a big fan of all this local identity. It's the bigger ones that I'm not so keen on. And Ghosty says that ultimately he loves it. Vanch, Coco 2024. I don't know if that's an election. Maybe that's maybe you can be Coco's running mate. Maybe not 2024. It feels like a bit soon for Coco and probably you as well, Vanch. But maybe
I thought that was mixed doubles, but
oh, maybe yeah.
Wasn't it Claire Henley who put out a tweet that Coco should run for president or something? I remember that after she won the U.S. Open, there was a tweet from her. It was like Coco for president.
And I can see you being very Republican.
Like if it's Biden against Trump again, I think there would be a great opportunity for someone to sort of go, you know, from that third wheel position.
If we're assuming that Coco for president and Vanch is the running mate, I'm sure Vanch's political campaign will be looking at both wings.
I don't know.
Sure.
In this situation,
bringing the country together. Bringing the country together.
Both parties, maybe.
Right?
Both parties.
Time to stop the differences between Democrats, Republicans. Yeah.
And time to stop the stream.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Guys, I have sent you a private message, although it's now 1:45 where I am, and same where you are, Dan. But Damien, both. I don't know if you saw the private message I sent about an hour ago, but yeah, we can bring this stream to a close. And did you see the message, Damien Vanch?
You say like E there late at the name. Let's stick to Damien then, because it's like, you know, the second A is read. It's read the same as the first one, basically, right? I mean, the first and the second A's are the same. But anyway, never mind. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna watch Berrettini Cazono for sure.
I'm gonna end the stream, and we can keep chatting anyway, whether that's for 1 minute or longer. But
okay.
Yeah, let's do that. So I'll end the stream. I'll see you. Don't turn your laptops off just yet, and I'll see you in about 60 seconds. All right. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.